exactly 80 years ago, on the 9th of May 1945, the Great Patriotic War ended. Now, to us in the West, that would be known as World War II. And this day isn't a particularly interesting day in the West. You would probably only know it if you were some kind of history buff like me, but here in Russia it is a national holiday, and it is one of the most important ones of the year. And its name is Dien Pobyedy, or in English, Victory Day. And here we are on Prospekt Pobyedy, which is named after that. I really don't think there is another country where that war was cemented in the national psyche like in the USSR. And those general feelings towards the war have continued on today in modern day Russia and other post-Soviet states. Every city, every village, every settlement, from north to south to east to west, will be filled with monuments to the people who fell during this conflict. Everywhere saw the effects, and that scar can still be felt today. And as this year is 2025, it is a very important one for this celebration, as yes, it has been 80 years, and there are plenty of flags and posters that are commemorating that. And I thought that for today's video, I'll take you around the different monuments of the Kursk region to be able to show you what they're like and show you really how the people here feel about that conflict. So here in Russia, you'll see a lot of people wearing this. It's the ribbon of St. George, which is associated with remembrance for veterans. If you're from the UK, it's sort of similar to what the poppy would be for Remembrance Day. So here we are walking down Prospekt Pobyedy. It's probably one of the main memorials here in Kursk for the war, and it's absolutely stunning. We've got this massive arch behind me that you can see, and it's just a long road all dedicated to the victory, hence Prospekt Pobyedy. And here you have the Eternal Flame, which is in basically every city of Russia on all of their memorials, and is used to just remember the fallen. I definitely recommend that if you go to any Russian city that you go to the monuments and memorials that they have, and you'll probably come across an Eternal Flame there. And when I first came to Kursk, it was the middle of winter, minus 15 degrees. All of this was in about 2 foot of snow. And I was sat in a shopping centre just across from the road from here, and I thought to myself, is that a T-34-85? And indeed it was a T-34-85. Now there are these different vehicles and armaments all the way down here, but for me that one is the most interesting. But I'll continue to show you some more around here. Look over here, you have some howitzers, which are really interesting. I definitely think that if you're in Kursk, then you should definitely come to this place. It's incredible. If you're a history buff like myself, you'll definitely know this one. And like any of the others, of course, it's got kids climbing all over it. Follow me on Telegram and Instagram to see these photos. And here we have a tree which apparently is part of a tree that survived the Battle of Volgograd, or Stalingrad as it was called. I think that's very interesting personally. And just in case you forgot which country you're in, they have a massive flag over there to remind you about it. Now for me this is incredibly interesting. I've had a lifelong obsession with the Second World War, and so coming here to these different Kursk memorials is like almost a dream come true. I've read for years about this battle, but seeing the names just lined up on these different memorials is something different. You kind of realise the price they paid to liberate this land that's around us right now. When you're reading from a book, you don't really put that into perspective. Or if you're watching some documentary and you see these exciting battles where you have explosions going off and showing the different tanks and vehicles that I also find interesting. But when you see these places, it does put it into a different perspective, in my opinion. It especially impacts me when you look at these different lists and you see multiple of the same surname. Kind of makes you understand that that's whole families gone. Every single one of these people had brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandparents. I don't know, it's a very different feeling. The weather is worse here than it is in the Voronezh video. So here around me, you can see the land which is about to happen. And as you can see, it's the perfect land for a tank battle, which is exactly what happened here. In 1943, the largest tank battle to ever happened on this land that you can see right here. And as you can see, this land, being so flat, is perfect for attracting the wind. But from here you can see everywhere. And to just imagine what was happening here, was it now 82 years ago? It's kind of incredible.
На самом деле это место находится среди полей, и поэтому тут всегда очень сильный ветер. Но именно в этот день ветер еще сильнее, потому что погода влияет на него. Место очень атмосферное. Здесь всегда играет военная музыка. Видны поля, пейзажи красивые.
So here we have the new monument for the Battle of Kursk, which is absolutely stunning and massive, in comparison to the other ones at least. Honestly, the first time that you look at it, it does leave you a bit speechless, but I know it's in the middle of nowhere, and there's literally nothing around it for miles, apart from flat land and a few other monuments, but just look at it. That is incredible. Such good workmanship. Well, it was opened for the 80 years of the Battle of Kursk, which was about 2 years ago now, should be. Now, there's good reason that this is now the pride of the Kursk Oblast. Very beautiful. And here you have a little exhibition of captured weapons, which is quite interesting to have next to that memorial behind me. I think it's particularly interesting, for me at least. This is a little interest of mine, military equipment, so for me this is like some kind of strange theme park. Here you can see where something is hit in that window there, which is kind of crazy. Imagine being the person on the other side of this. I wouldn't want to be them. And they have the flags of the countries that the equipment originally belonged to, as well as some NATO flags. I'm not sure what to think about this place. This one here is a Ukrainian BMP, which is entirely destroyed. I can't imagine anyone survived this. Once again, you think about it from the history of this place, but quite recently it's not just been in history that you have this type of horrific conflict. It's a strange type of graveyard, I'd say. Might not be a graveyard of the people that were in these vehicles, but it's definitely more powerful than that even. Yeah, seeing a list of names is something, but seeing the equipment itself all just lying in front of you. There's even the Turks here. That one's a surprise to me. I thought the Turks were relatively, for being a NATO member, relatively friendly to Russia. And of course over here you have the infamous Z. If you're unaware, in Russia the Z has become a symbol of support for the war. There are a lot of children here, which is to be expected. It's cool that there's all these different historical vehicles, but I don't know, the contrast between children laughing and running around, and then these destroyed vehicles. It's a bit of a strange contrast to me. I don't see any British equipment here, and I thought I did last time I was here, because I was here before. But no, seems it's not. So here we are at another memorial, which is just down the road from the previous one, and it's just as incredible, but a different tone. It's not so much a park like the other one was. This memorial here seems to be more focused towards people truly remembering the dead, rather than a sort of glorifying of it like the previous one was. Apart from the children playing, it's different. There's no vehicles, there's no giant posters about how great and glorious our victory was. It's just still. I don't know how to explain how it feels. Over here we have another eternal flame, and this one luckily isn't next to a road like the previous one. It's just powerful, and plenty more flowers. And the other one you have people climbing about, laughing, shouting. But this one, there are plenty of people crying, particularly the elderly, and I almost feel uncomfortable filming here, if that makes sense. Like, I am filming in a graveyard, which is not the type of YouTuber I really want to be personally, but it's the subject matter of this video. I'm trying to be respectful, but maybe I'm not. And that's the kind of feeling you get filming here, if I'm honest. I think a more important aspect of this holiday is the more personal one. So, for example, a lot of people think about the family members who served in this conflict, and for me, I feel like I should share my family members who served in this conflict. So for me, it was my great-grandparents, and both men called George. So you have George Wallace, and then you have George Potts. One was a submariner, the other one was fighting in Egypt. I don't know. I only met one of them, and that was George Wallace. And I was fortunate enough to grow up with him around me. But he never really spoke about the war that much. I don't blame him, it was a difficult time. Perhaps you lot can share stories about your family during the war. I think it'd be really interesting to share that in the comments. Have a sort of mini memorial below this video, if you will. That man taking the photo kind of reminds me of my granddad George. The similarities are quite striking. I think what makes this a lot more difficult than most other ones, where they just have big stones covered in names, is the fact that they show their faces. It humanizes them. I think it makes it a bit more personal and makes you understand that that's a person that's lost. And you get to see how early they were lost in their lives. And behind me you have a cemetery to the people that have fallen in the current conflict in Ukraine, which reminds you that just like 8 decades ago, Kursk is on the forefront of a conflict in Europe. I'm sure in the comments a lot of you will have things to say about this one, but I won't comment too much on it. I hope you understand. At the end of the day, these are people who still lost their lives. I think this is a war that we should remember, seeing as conflict seems to be around every corner nowadays. We cannot forget the sacrifices that were made, and I wish you all a happy Victory Day. Remember the people that fell in this war, and please like and subscribe to my channel if you want more videos about Russia. Stay on, Papiadi.